largest digital space conference organized by SDNX and Helium Learning Labs. This year's theme puts a spotlight on the role of space education and research in emerging nations and to empower them further. We believe that through this summit, these students and young space professionals will get guidance for their education and career. SDNX Foundation was established in the year 2013 with the purpose of making space accessible to everyone through its initiatives and educational projects supported by space R&D. Helium Learning Labs, our organizing partner, are an EdTech company that aims to establish a world-class digital space school to fill the gap between space education and space industry by training students for the future space workers. Hello and welcome. My name is Shavika Lamba and I'll be your host today. Let me begin by introducing our guest speaker, an astronomy and space enthusiast who is also the national point of contact for the Space Generation Advisory Council from Madagascar, Mr. Andrew. Graduated in physics and chemistry from École Normale Supérieure of Andoniaina Rajaonarivelo and student of DARA Development in Africa with Radio Astronomy. He focuses his research and work in improving space science education through astronomy and space science. Over to you, Mr. Andrew.
Yes, thank you for the introduction. My name is Andoniaina Rajaonarivelo, and I'm happy to be there with you to present what is happening in Madagascar about the space and astronomy. So, I will begin my presentation. I think you can see me.
No, sir, not yet. Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So, first we thank you to the organizer who invited me to this world largest digital spectrum, global spectrum on this and about from me. So today, as I say, I will talk about the global space education and research mission like company Madagascar. First, let me introduce briefly what is Madagascar. When we talk about Madagascar, people think this only with lines, zebra, dance, camels, and monkeys. But in fact, Madagascar is a country in southern of Africa, the country large country is an island with 25 million people. And in this country, there is electricity and a lot of astronomy activities. But firstly, I will talk about the beginning of space activity in Madagascar. Firstly, there are first astronomical observatory in my country, which was in 1889. This is the astronomical observatory of Angoulême. It was located in Antananarivo, and the religious people leave this observatory in this at this time. But after that, there is a NASA tracking station in NPoC, already in Antananarivo, Madagascar. This tracking station was called NASA during the time when they worked on Apollo project. It was in 1967 to the of 1972. The project ends because of the political situation in Madagascar. So after that, there are no tracking stations in our country. So now I will talk about what is happening currently in our country. Since 2014, there is MSc degrees in astronomy and astrophysics at the University of Antananarivo, the University of Antananarivo. Research topics cover a wide range of subjects like stellar astrophysics, extragalactical astronomy, cosmology, and engineering. And the teaching is given by Malagasy, who is PhD in astronomy in astrophysics programs. So they come back and they give courses at the university. And currently there is also the Institute and Observatory of Geophysics of Andoniaina Rajaonarivelo, UOGI. It is the old astronomical observatory of computation that I said before. And the research activities in this observatory is focused in the field of earth sciences. So they are doing a lot about the work on the earthquakes, and also they are doing the earth detection. So they use that on the subjects for the earth observation. This is the two institutions who was giving teaching in astronomy. And whereas also we have two associations which focus on space and astronomy. Firstly, there are the Madagascar Astronomy and Space Sciences, and after this is the Haititana Astronomy Association. And currently I'm the president of Haititana Astronomy Association. These two associations work together to promote the astronomy and science space in our country. Because in fact we have not a space station, we have not an observatory. The observatory is in the construction currently, but currently we are more focusing on outreach, sharing to sensibilization to the astronomy and space science. So there are the only two astronomy and space associations in Madagascar. So in 2018, the association, the Madagascar Astronomy and Space Science, are an organization at the International Astronomical Union. And after that, we can organize a lot of events like the 100 years of the IU. We can celebrate it in Madagascar with the 100 hours of astronomy, where Haititana and Madagascar Astronomy and Space Science organize it together to reach people and to share what is astronomy, what we are doing in astronomy, and what Madagascar astronomers are doing currently. And after that, also during the IU celebration of the 100 years of IU, we can hear the name of the exoplanets, exoworlds, the name exoworlds, which is a name of stars and exoplanets. So currently we have two Madagascar names in the space. We have Rapido and the Chimbe, who comes from fairy tales, Madagascar fairy tales. And since 2017, we began to organize the Asteroid Day. And for Madagascar, it's the celebration began yesterday with the talk about Mars, planet Mars. So we always organize it together because with the two associations, because we are just only two and there is no association who are doing this. So we decided to organize it together. So since, as I say, since 2017, we organized the Asteroid Day to promote and to sensibilize the people what is the asteroid, what it is if an asteroid shut down. So we are doing Asteroid Day. And since a few years, we organized also the World Space Week. As for example, in these pictures, we had the astronaut, the American astronaut Daniel Kahn, who talked with us about what to be an astronaut. And this is, for example, for me, this is the time that
I think that it's the beginning of my adventure in the domain of space and astronomy, because at this time I asked him how to become an astronaut, and he gave me some advice to become an astronaut. So we organize each year we organize the World Space Week in Madagascar in collaboration with the US Embassy, and they help us for the organization. And there is also annual workshop given by Madagascar Astronomy and Science. There's a skill transfer. Sometimes they teach about Python, sometimes they teach about data reduction, about a lot of things related to astronomy, And what is currently the situation of the astronomy in my country, in Madagascar? Madagascar country takes part to the SKA, the Square Kilometer Array, and the ADN, the African DLBI network, who is SKA is the project who try to create the largest radio telescope in the world, in the cooperation with Australia and South Africa. And the ADN is to create a network of radio telescopes through Africa in interconnect. And Madagascar had a chance to take part in this project with the future radio dish in Andoniaina. In fact, it was an old telecommunication antenna, but it will be converted to radio dish. And in relation with this project with the SKA and the ADN, Madagascar had an occasion to organize the first ever international astronomy conference in our country, in Madagascar, in 2018. At the space, it was the SKA-driven Big Data Challenge in Africa, where there is a lot of astronomers and data scientists who is working on this conference. So this is our first ever international astronomy conference. I hope that we could organize another international conference like that. So this is because we take part in the SKA, so we can do this. And we can do this also because we take part to the ADN, so we can take part to the DARA, that's where I am a student. DARA is a development in Africa with radio astronomy. It's a training to prepare young students to use the new generation of radio telescope, like the telescope in Andoniaina. So in this pictures you can see some students from the first cohort of Madagascar, and in the back it was the dish in Andoniaina. So currently in Madagascar there are the all of activities. We are the space. We have two organizations who promote astronomy and space science. We have the MSc degree in astronomy and astrophysics, and we have an institute who is working in Earth observation. So now I would just like to show that I will talk about what this activity brings to Malagasy people. Like some countries in Africa, we have a lot of resources in terms of science. We have no space industry. We have not really an observatory, astronomical observatory. But currently, we have people. We are young people who is enthusiastic in science, in space, and in astronomy. As for example, with my association with Etana, we have something like 20,000 followers on social media. So it's helped a lot. Social media is the best way to share information teach general public about astronomy, about space science, and currently we are in the situation where there is a lot of with the evolution of technology. We have the space, for example, we have SpaceX with Elon Musk, who try to go to the moon, to Mars. We have also all of these robots. This rover is going to Mars, is going to other planets. So I want to share a message to some countries with in the situation like Madagascar. If you have not a facility, if you have not space station, if you have not an observatories, try to do sensibilization to the general public, try to share knowledge, open mind of general public, because they need it, and after that they will try to develop this knowledge, and after that maybe they will do something, or if they don't do something, do it, because if you don't do it, if anyone don't do it, so your country will never develop, and you will still poor. So this is my message to the people who are the space enthusiasts in another countries, because the space education, the space research help us in our everyday life. For example, with TV, with Wi-Fi, with with internet, it's help us. It's very useful for us. So we need to do something. We need to make the change. So I think the time is now to do this change in our country. In fact, I should do it in 30 minutes, but that's all I have to share today. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Andrew, for taking us through your inspiring journey of space science and astronomy in Madagascar. And I have a few questions for you. I was hoping I can ask you those. So my first question is, how did you develop an interest in astronomy, and what was your educational journey like?
So can we repeat?
Yes, sure. How did you develop an interest in astronomy, and what was your educational journey like?
I thought I developed my interest for astronomy.
Yes. How did you develop an interest in astronomy?
I developed an interest for astronomy. So I think for me it began when I was young, when I watched movies, when I watch movies on TV, when I watch documentary TV, that begin to develop my, as for example, the cosmos. I don't know if the cosmos or the with Carl Sagan.
Yes, I know that.
Yeah. And some of these like in TV, TV, and it will interest my curiosity astronomy. And after that, I began my study. I watched movies like the Big Bang Theory. And after that, I said that, I want to be a physicist like these guys. So that's why I began to study physics at university, and after that I worked with some astronomer and astronaut and planetary. That's developed in me my passion in astronomy. And I with my friends we built the Untitled Astronomy, and currently we are trying to do that with Madagascar people. We create some movies on Facebook so that we can share it on the social media. We take movies and we organize events like What's History, Astronomy, that can help a lot of people in our countries. Yeah.
Yes, that sounds very exciting. So, what has been a recent work experience that excited you, and why was it so exciting?
The experience that it's me is, I think that the experiment that I did. What was this? Okay.
Alright. Okay. So, since you work in the field of astronomy, is there a favorite celestial object that you have, and why are you attracted to it?
Sorry, I have a little bit problem with my internet connection that your voice is a little bit. Can you repeat? Sorry. Can you repeat?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me now?
Yes, no, thank you.
Since you work in the field of astronomy, is there a favorite celestial object that you have, and what attracted you to it?
Yeah. The object that attracts me is, I think, it is the time. I currently, in my work in the astronomy education, I'm working in sun observation. I love watching the sun through my telescope with a filter, and I watching the sun, and I love showing it to my students. When they watch through the telescope, they see that wow, there is small dot on the sun. But when they watch it with naked eyes, with a telescope, they see nothing. But when they watch it with the telescope, with the filter, they can see the black dot. So it's very excellent. But I love observing through the dark sky, the deep sky, the nebula, the cluster, and the galaxy. This is really.
Alright. So we know that the world's second largest radio telescope, Arecibo, broke last December. So how does this affect the radio astronomers?
Arecibo. You want to talk about the Arecibo? Oh.
Right, yeah, that broke last December. Right. So how is that affecting radio astronomers?
You know I think I'm not a lot of because I'm doing a radio astronomy few times. I have not a lot of information about that, but I can say that if Arecibo are broken, currently we have another radio telescope. The Chinese radio telescope is fast. I think
Yes.
radio astronomer can use it. I hope.
Alright.
Yeah. But in fact, we can use there are other radio telescopes, as for example, as I said before, the SKA will be the largest radio telescope in the world. I think radio astronomer can use this radio telescope.
Alright. So what are the future astronomy activities that we can look forward to?
The future astronomy activities.
Yes, what are some of them that we can look forward to?
Yeah, currently we are working for the Madagascar country that is so good. an observatory in the west coast of the country. This is the new project. It will be an optical observatory where we will be working with French astronomers, with one school in this part of our country. I think this is the biggest astronomy activity that we prepare, and we prepare also some astronomical events like on the moon again to observe the moon. I think this build these observatories in the biggest activity that we are doing currently.
All right. So since you're an expert in astronomy, I would like to play a game with you called Ask the Expert, Truth or Myth. And I would read out a few sentences and I'd like you to tell me whether they are true or if they're a myth. So my first sentence is, the sunset on Mars is blue.
The sunset. I think it's true.
That's true, okay.
Yeah.
Our Earth is 5.45 billion years old.
Yeah. I think because of the solar system, I think the sun is currently in this mid-age, something like 5 billion years, and the Earth was born few years after this formation of the sun. Well, I think it's 5.5 billion.
Okay. Is there a planet made of diamonds?
Yeah, next is the because it's a gas planet. It's the planet Jupiter, Saturn, I think, or Jupiter.
It's an exoplanet, I believe.
It's an what?
Yeah, I think there's an exoplanet that they say is made out of diamonds. So, is that actually true? Or?
I think yes. I would say true.
Okay. Galileo invented the optic telescope.
I would say true. Before Galileo, there is one people who did something like that, but it is not really used to observe the moon, but observe the sky. But Galileo did something like I would say it in French, Untitled Astronomy. So Galileo did the first telescope to observe the sky. But before Galileo, there's someone who created something like that, but not to observe the sky.
Right. Okay. So a meteor, a meteorite, and a meteorite, they mean the same?
Sorry, can you repeat? Yeah.
A meteor, a meteorite, and a meteorite, do they mean the same?
No, in fact, there is not the same, because there is difference between these three things. If it's shuttle, it depends on the size. Firstly, you have asteroid, meteors, Earth, and if it's shuttle its impact on the Earth, we can call it meteorites. Yeah, but it's not the same.
Alright. So my final question is, there may be a huge planet at the edge of the solar system.
I don't think. No, I think it's not true. Because when we talk about the involvement of our solar system, some people say there is a planet X.
Right.
Sometimes you hear about Nibiru or something like that. But if there huge because of our solar system, we might observe it from here. But currently we have not observed anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, with that we come to the end of our game, and now we have a few questions from our audience. So our first question is, will your country be collaborating with any other space organization of the world?
What I can say it is that we working with not space agency but with observatory, because we are in the SK and the avian, so we work with some observatories like the observatories in South Africa. So that's I can say.
Okay. Our next question is, are there any startups working in the space sector in your country?
No, currently no, there is no startups who is working this field.
Alright. What are the other domains of space science that your country is planning to work on apart from astronomy?
Currently, as I said in the beginning, there is the Institute and Observatory of Geophysics of Andoniaina Rajaonarivelo. In fact, they use a lot of space data, from space to the teledetection, and there also weather agency who is working with satellites. But in fact, I don't think there are another institution who is teaching or working on space, field of space, in another field of space of astronomy.
Alright. How are you planning to include space science in school curriculum in your country?
Yeah, in fact, in our country, we have one topic related to space. It is the satellite motion, which is teaching in the last class of the high school. But some teachers don't teach it. I don't know why, but some teachers don't teach it. As for example, I teach it because I'm also a teacher. I teach it, and sometimes I feel an approach as for example, with space exploration, the masking Mars, and something like that. But in fact, the teachers are more developed of space in our country. It's a problem in Madagascar, because the science, the STEM education is very to teach this is very difficult in our country.
Okay. Thank you for your time, Mr. Andrew. We wish you good luck for all your ongoing and future projects. And thank you for joining us today. And
thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Also, we have a session tomorrow with the National Point of Contact of Zimbabwe. So I hope to see you all tomorrow. Goodbye and have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye.